Hello folks. Today I am doing a lab to kind of go over the basic functions, kind of like rewinding a little bit, the basic functions of sheets so we can get a little bit more acquainted with the program. So first and foremost, kind of thinking about data, we're going to say ID, we're going to say age, weight, gender, and we're only going to do 25 cases here. 1, 2. Now this is your first thing for the lab, okay? Something I go over in in-person class. If you can highlight, well, let's rewind it a little bit more. Make sure you're putting all this information on the spreadsheet that you have open in front of you. You should be doing this spreadsheet with me. So make sure you type in ID, age, weight, gender in the first row, A, B, C, D columns. These are rows. These are columns. So up and down's columns, left and right's rows. Okay. So first we're going to do a sample size of 25, meaning we need 25 cases. So go for your ID here, which is your cases. 1, 2. That's the pattern. It starts highlighting both. Click and drag. Put this little blue dot until the cross cursor appears. Hold that down, drag it down until you generate 25 cases, which should be at the 26th row. So we have 25 cases now. Age. Okay. For this, we're just going to do a rand between. So equal rand between. And what rand between is it's random number between x and y values. And we're about ready to enter x and y now. So our x, we'll say, is 18, comma, and now we enter our y value, which we'll say is 32. We close that bracket, hit enter. The same deal, highlight it, go to that little blue dot, drag it all the way down. Okay. Now your data is going to look different than mine because this is random numbers. Now we're going to do the same thing for weight, rand between. I'll say weight should be between 150, we'll go 125 pounds and 210. So random weight between 125 pounds and 210 pounds. Hit enter. We're just going to click and drag like we did the first one. Okay. And then gender, we'll stick with M, F, M, M, non-binary, M, F, M, F, 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 M, M, M. You'll notice that my numbers are changing to your right there, non-binary. That's because we haven't locked them in place yet. And there's our data set. Okay. The way the data works is every case, okay, every record, in this case, is a story. Person number 1 is a 21-year-old, 150-pound male. Person 2 is a 23-year-old, 197-pound female, so on and so forth. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to lock down my random numbers real quick. So by highlighting over the random numbers, we're going to click, right-click, copy. Then we're just going to say paste, special, values only. And what that does is it removes the formula. See, there's no more formulas there. And remember, you can rewind this if you need to go back. That's the beauty of the video. So now we have our data here. Now for our basic functions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an average. I'm going to do a median. I'm going to do a mode, standard deviation. Let's see. I believe that's about all we need to cover off the get-go. Average is also sometimes referred to as the mean. Just to make this perfectly clear, I'm not dividing by anything or the mean. So let's see, average, median, mode, standard deviation. Yeah, I believe that'll do the basics. So for average, you type in equal average, quite easy. Then, while the text cursor is over there, click and drag over on the age column because we're going to do an average age. Hit enter. We're not going to take the autofill. For median, it's equal median. You can click that and go over. Hit enter. For our mode, it's the same thing, equal mode. So on and so forth. And finally, our standard deviation is equal st dev. Find the standard deviation. Enter. Alright. So average is the average age of the person in the data set. So on average, we would take 24 years, they'd be 24 years old, strangely enough. I don't think there's a 24-year-old, there is one 24-year-old person in the data set. But because of the way the numbers go up to 31, I think our highest is there. Oh, speaking of which, there is two more, max and minimum. So let's go ahead and calculate our maximum and our minimum. Equal max. This will give us our highest number in the data set. So the oldest person in the data set is 32 years old. And the youngest person in the data set, which is our minimum value, is 18. So 32 to 18. So these are your basic functions to kind of describe the data set. On average, 24-year-old person, median of 23 age. Their youngest, the most occurring age is 18 years old. Our oldest person is 32. Our youngest person is 18. And on average, between every person, there's 4 years in between them, if we were to arrange them, so on and so forth. Now, that is all there is to that. Now, we can move on to the interquartile range. I'm going to keep the video there for a moment. So you can take a look if you need to. Now, we'll move on to interquartile range. Alright, for interquartile range, what we'll do is, we're just going to take the same thing we're just going to take the same data, highlight the entire thing, drag it over, right click, copy. We're just going to paste it in A1, so it pastes completely over. And instead of what we're going to do here is we're going to just find the interquartile range. Now the interquartile range is found, as you see in your PowerPoint slides, by quarter 3, subtract it from quarter 1. Okay. Now quarter 2, this is another thing altogether, right? Quarter 2, that's just our median, our 50th percentile. So median, enter. So quarter 2 is just median. That being said, in order to get a quartile, we need to hit equal quartile, put the data range in, like so. This time, we don't close it, we hit comma, and we want Q3, so we hit 3. Close that, goes to the third quarter. Equal quartile for our first quarter, we're doing the same thing we did for quarter 3, except for this time, comma 1, because we're looking for quarter 1. Enter. Now, to get the interquartile range, let's say in IQ range, interquartile range, all we need to do is take our third quarter, so you hit equal, click third quarter, minus, click first quarter, and enter, and that's our interquartile range. Again, your numbers will be different because we did random numbers. Now, mean deviation. So the mean deviation, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy the original data we had over here. We're going to paste. We're just going to find, we're going to go over to I, mean deviation. Okay. We're going to hit equal. Find our mean first. So average. So we need to the first step of the mean deviation is to find your average. Equal average, as we did before. Equal average on the age. So our average age, again, is 24.04. Okay? For each case, then, we have to subtract the mean from the case's value. Okay? So I want you to go to the age column and go one over, right-click, and you want to insert one column left. So create a space. We're going to say our mean right here. Okay? We're going to call this the deviation score. Deviation score. Calculate your deviation score for each value. We're going to subtract the mean from the case's value. So age minus average, because we're subtracting the average value from the age. Okay? So again, for each case, we subtract the mean from the case's value. Okay? So case's value is B2, and we're subtracting the mean from that. To make this quick, I'm just going to highlight H3 and hit F4. You'll notice that it implements $signs into it. That means it holds it steady. If you cannot figure out how to find an F4 key on your keyboard, you can manually enter those $signs in. Hit enter. Now we're going to highlight all the way down, and that is our deviation score. The next step is to find the absolute value of each deviation score. So insert left column once again. We'll call this absolute value. Now the absolute value is pretty simple. We can just say 3.04. All absolute value is, and this is 1.04, is the distance from 0 that the deviation score is from, or wherever you're taking the absolute value of. In this case, we're taking the absolute value for every deviation score. Now we can do this pretty fast by hitting equal ABS. That's the absolute value of a number. Just click that. Click the 1, hit OK, and then we can just click and again drag that down with the blue dot. There's our absolute value. From there, we sum the absolute values. So we're going to say sum of absolute values over here equal sum. Then sum up all the absolute values over here by clicking and dragging over it. Hit enter. So our sum of absolute values is 101.2. Finally, we divide by sample size. Okay? So you take these sums and you divide it by sample size. So let's find our sample size. Now our sample size is just how many people are in the data set. So we can just hit equal count the number of values in the data set, and go over to age, highlight it. And, as you know from earlier, our sample size is 25. So that in the last step is to find the mean deviation, which is our sum of absolute values, the sum of absolute values of deviation scores, I should say, divided by sample size. So our mean deviation is then 4.04. Okay? And that is how you find the mean deviation. That ends the lab. Make sure you submit this in the lab portal. Make sure you go up to share. Anyone with a link can get it to it. Okay? That's all you need to do. And then copy that link and then turn it into Blackboard. That ends the lab. Now, there's more stuff. I'm assigning a homework assignment as well. The homework assignment is going to be exactly these things: the basic functions, the interquartile range, and the mean deviation, except with a different data set. So you're just doing the same thing twice. But I'll give you the data set this time. So you'll be working with the data set I give you. That being said, I'll have a Google Sheet uploaded, and so that we know, in order to work with anything that I upload in Google Sheets for Blackboard, you need to go to File first, and you will need to make a copy. See, it's under File, make a copy, and then you can do what you wish with it. Okay, I will see you all next week.